All right, we're recording.
Okay.
You're on camera. All right. Welcome to the April 22nd, 2024 Facilities Committee meeting. I'm your chairperson, JP Prego. To my left, we have Melanie Cunningham, our board president, Keith DeCarrick, committee member, Mr. Craig Howard, our director of facilities, Trina Scharschmidt, committee member, Drew Bishop, money man, business administrator, and Andrew Farina, Dr. Andrew Farina, our assistant superintendent, and Dr. Roach will be joining us shortly.
He got really skinny all of a sudden, didn't he?
And quiet.
Yeah, and quiet.
Keep it that way.
All right, we'll start with the approval of the minutes from the March 23rd.
Motion.
Second.
Any questions or comments?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Moving right on. So now we'll jump into the high school softball netting project.
Our poles are up. They were installed today, so we have our poles up. The netting will be installed tomorrow. So hopefully we can close this project out
Then
tomorrow.
we'll be done.
Yes,
Done.
done.
Well, hopefully.
Thank you, Chris.
Well, at least with
I sent
that.
Dr. Allen the pictures, so, I updated the pictures
Yeah,
today.
Emily said she saw that they were up.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, long time coming.
Tough.
The weather was very not on our side.
Uh-huh.
Move on to B, discussing the presentation of the UPS feasibility study standing item. Me and Dr. Allen wanted to leave this on here just to, keep you guys refreshed. Wastewater treatment plant, Marlboro structure repair and rehabilitation. Dr. Andrew sent out this beautiful outline of everything that was,
Yeah, that's nice.
yes, that was great. I was looking at that on Sunday. I'm still in that idea that she did, so
Yeah.
I copied it, put the frame on that. So, one of the things that I know you guys we wanted to discuss with you guys were the bid for the proposal for Isaac. It was for $8,500 for the construction documents and phases services. The bid services is $4,250. The construction phase services are $8,500. So we have a total of $21,250. So we're asking, can we accept the bid and secure the 3 quotes and move forward with this project for the wastewater tank?
So none of that, 16, I can't add that, 17.
21,250.
Thank you. None of that 21,250 includes the actual doing of the wastewater.
This is just starting everything.
Okay.
Putting in the paperwork.
And is there,
So what's the construction phase service? Is that just,
That's just them
that's
coming.
just coming out to check on the project?
I believe so. I believe that'll be Barry Isaac's fee, our consultant.
so what exactly are we buying that we're getting bid for?
So we're redoing the tank. We're trying to think of the right words. Sandblasting, putting new, obviously like a pool. You know, you take the outer part of the pool out and put a new one in. That's basically what they're doing.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah, I couldn't remember if
Yeah,
we talked
that's
about
basically
exactly
what
what it entailed.
Rather than replacing the whole system.
Right,
Yes.
okay.
And so it would be a cheaper experience for the
Okay.
district.
Do we have any idea what that tank's gonna cost?
No, that's fine.
Any clue?
I had a meeting with him last week before I stepped out for a few days, and he's gonna give me some more information this week. So
Okay.
him and the structural engineer are working on some type of numbers for us to give us some type of range about an idea.
Okay.
So I will have that by the end of the week, hopefully.
Yeah.
I'll stay on Rob about that.
Okay.
Yes.
So Melanie, it's not a new tank though?
It's
It's
we're
a
refurbishing.
It's a
what we have.
refurbishment of the existing tank. So the original was around like 80,000, the original quote. Andrew and Craig went back through it. It's because there's a portion of the tank that currently needs.
Yeah, and I know it needs it.
Yeah.
I know it does.
The
I was
other.
trying to make it shorter in time.
Yeah, and the other piece of this that Craig will have to provide the committee with is there are some additional fees that will be incurred because it has to be decommissioned and pumped. And then, so we'll have to, correct, we'll have to have, those fees are in addition to that. So we'll have to empty it, the lines.
Decommissioned?
Well,
Like, is
it
it
has to be-
USS something?
Yeah.
Does it have a name?
Yeah.
And it takes the ownership off for us, for God forbid, for Green Lane. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
Oh,
Just putting
okay.
it all on them.
Okay.
yeah,
Yes.
So, I mean, those are additional fees with a contracted service so they can come out. And so the timing will be essential.
honey
Um,
dipper. Gotcha.
I was gonna say it, but I'm like, is
I
that
got
correct?
Yeah, it is.
But also making sure the buildings are unoccupied is helpful, that there's, because we have to stop the tank.
Flushing, yeah, no flushing allowed.
So with the, go ahead, Keith.
Yeah.
I've got a couple questions. She started it off. Do they have a rough estimate of total cost of what it would bid out for?
That's what,
Right.
50 to 80?
that's what I'll speak to Rob about. We know it's gonna be lower than 80 grand, we do know that. He
Okay.
did confirm that, but I'll definitely get Rob to give me some more information on that.
Okay.
I'll make that phone
And-
call tomorrow.
Okay, and with the building needing to be empty during the summertime, what are you gonna do about the admin personnel that would normally work there during the summer?
Yeah, they would just move to a different building.
Portable.
Not use the restroom. Yeah,
They
they
just, what do you mean?
Yeah, I mean, when we've done projects where we've had to, take up stop water or
All right, and that shouldn't be,
abate,
shouldn't be
we move
difficult
them.
for them, yeah.
Okay.
But there's
Oh,
not a
everything's
ton of
online.
people in there.
Well-
No,
No.
no, it'll be the,
We might have contractors in there too over the summer, right?
so we
And Marlboro?
shouldn't.
No, not in
We
Marlboro,
shouldn't.
not in Marlboro, not this
Lots of
summer.
other buildings.
Yeah, not this, not
Yeah.
Marlboro, not this
We
summer.
don't know that word.
Yeah, not
And we
this
don't
summer.
have-
405 Center in high school.
We don't have any summer programming.
Yes.
ESY, our
Mm.
backups are not in there until,
Okay,
ESY not at all, and then our summer programming is not until August.
okay,
Okay.
all right.
And we're confident that doing a refurb on the tank is acceptable, the way to go, as
Definitely.
opposed to a new one.
Yes.
We're gonna get,
Because when, and Andrew has been really great on this. Andrew hit that home, we don't need a new tank, we need to refurbish it. And one thing about Andrew, he's very good at what he does. He's a, wastewater treatment licensed professional.
Okay.
It's amazing that he's here, I thank God that he's here.
Mm-hmm.
Because,
Andrew
guys like
Florida?
that.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Guys like that are invaluable.
Yeah.
Because they're very much invaluable. You don't see men like that too often.
Okay.
So, yes. So Andrew was very, like Dr. Andrew said, he reviewed over everything and he really hit it home. We had a whole nother conversation about it after we talked about it.
Okay, yeah, it's just hard to think if we're already spending 21,000 on getting to that point. Would we do that anyway if we got a new tank, or would we, or is, our refurbished tank itself gonna be 60,000 and we spent 21,000?
I see what you're
Getting
saying.
there,
Right.
yeah,
I see what you're saying.
Just
And that-
checking.
And that's where Rob comes in there with the numbers.
okay,
I understand exactly what you're saying.
Okay.
Yes,
Now,
ma'am.
what exactly is being decommissioned?
Well, so
Temporarily.
it's temporarily.
Okay,
They're not
okay.
sunsetting the tank, they just have to stop
Lock out,
its
tag
use.
out.
Yeah.
Pump it, empty it, I got the whole rundown
And fix
from
it.
Andrew.
Yeah.
Okay, I
Pipes
would
have
have
to
used
be-
that word
They're
for
gonna
it.
replace
in-
piping, they're gonna
Yes,
replace
sir.
the pump.
Yeah.
They're gonna
It's
get-
still functioning.
Yep.
They just have to stop it being used.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
Gotcha.
That, yeah, I wouldn't have used that
Yeah,
as a
sorry.
description for it. I know about septic systems. We'll talk about that sometime.
You're talking about the well system that you used to work at well.
I would love to hear more about septic systems.
Yeah, that's very,
That's an area I don't know a lot about, so.
So do we have this money in the budget for this year?
So we have 9.3 or $9.2 million in capital reserve. So that is money that is outside of the board-approved budget, but is limited to capital improvements. So it can certainly come out of that,
yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
And that's
Yes.
why it's,
Sorry.
sorry, but that's why, what the board did back in, was it May or June? Transferred money, $5 million over into the capital reserve
Yeah.
for exactly instances like this. So it's outside the budget. We don't have to worry about, do we budget X number for June and then X number for July? You have it sitting there and you just have to use it for capital improvement. So to set that money aside is beneficial in the future for the board.
Do we have any thoughts yet on this year as to whether we might be having overage of
Stay
something?
tuned.
Okay.
That's fine.
My-
I know.
That's a different meeting.
Yeah, I know.
The May finance, I hope
Okay.
to talk to that committee about.
This crosstalk.
Yep. Hey, you gotta ask the question when you come up.
Yeah.
So what do you need from us then? Just the okay to move forward?
Yep, sign off on it. send it back in and start the process.
Okay. Any objections from anybody on the board?
I don't object, I am also curious about the extra fees that we don't know about, and he's gonna call tomorrow, so, but I approve of moving forward at this
We have to
time.
fix it sometime.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Some way.
so I'm curious, you know, but I don't know what would change my vote there as far as an answer, unless it was really outrageous.
Okay. So Keith, you're good?
Fine.
All right, let's move that forward then. Okay.
Okay, next item we have, sir, will be asbestos abatement at the high school and other sites in the district-wide. TRC has prepared an asbestos abatement design project and a scope services of $19,000. Again, back to Dr. Angela's sheet that she has here. She broke it down very well as far as what the 50% of the grant that we're looking for, as you know, what we'll be paying. So we're looking to move forward with you guys' blessing to sign off on the TRC proposal to where they can start preparing everything that they need to prepare, and we can get a timeline for the summer on exactly how long it's going to take and different things in that aspect.
Is this gonna be all of the abatement? Are we gonna be?
So so the hope for the conversation here at the committee level is I put I'm sorry, it's really small. I know. But this is from our last AHERA report, which was just in the fall. There are 3 buildings that, you know, both in our 6-month and our 3-year that have been identified. The high school, 4, 5, and Hereford. And the scope of those projects is different. So the high school is quite extensive in that it's the spray-on fireproofing, the pipe fittings, some of the floor tiles and mastics, the laboratory tables, the chalk and tack board adhesives. So that's the largest amount is the high school. Then when we look at the 4th and 5th grade center, you'll see that some of the floor tile and some of the tack boards, chalkboards, mastic. So it's what's behind this that we're talking about. And the floor tile is not this, but think the high school. And then at Hereford, it is just the tack boards. So here's, no, because we didn't take all the existing tack boards off.
We did it at kindergarten area.
And we did. So what I need to share, and you know, what I want to talk to the committee about is, this is not friable, nor is the tile. Which means that it doesn't necessarily need to be abated. So previously, we were tackling room by room at the high school, not all at once. And so this is the public school environmental repair grant. It's a 50% match. The total cost of everything outlined by TRC is $2.43 million, right?
Yes.
But if we take out tack boards and floor tiles at the 2 buildings and focus on the high school, that doesn't mean that we never do it. And it doesn't mean that it won't reappear on our next AHERA report, because they're always going to tell us to do that. Because if it does break, you know, it becomes friable, and then we have to address it anyway. So it's a 50% match. And so I'm looking for guidance on, you know, if it's not necessary, do we really want to tackle it? Because we also have to replace
Right.
Yeah.
what we take out.
Get out.
Oh, that's the killer.
And replace is not covered in the.
No.
Just removal.
No. So the scope of the grant is really what I'm seeking to discern from the group. You know, do we want to focus on the high school, and do we want to talk about just the spray on the pipe fittings and sort of stay away from maybe the floor and mastic, except where we have seen some floor damage, which we know. We do have a list. I mean, they list the rooms specifically, and then it would be 50% of that cost. So the contribution of the district of the whole project is $1.216 million. But if we scaled it back to just those, it would be substantially less.
So just refresh my memory on the grant.
Yep.
When do you need to have application in for? And it's something that if we, say we want 500,000 for it, we get approved for 500,000, we have to use that full amount.
We don't have to do anything. We can be awarded the grant and not necessarily pursue it. I would say, if we're looking at, the scope, the high school alone is $1.6 million. You take out 400,000 in TAC boards, you're already down. So the district would contribute 50% of that 1.2. So we would have to do a commitment letter to say, we would fund $600,000 of the overall $1.2 million project. And that would also be a capital project.
Right.
Right, but on the
But
other
if we
hand-
don't get it, we
Right,
don't have to do
then-
anything.
Right, exactly, but if we go for the full amount and just go whole hog, and we get awarded the whole hog, we don't have to do it, the whole thing. We could then scale back if we wanted to. We could then remove,
As long as we put
Tabletops.
50% of whatever we spent.
So it's a reimbursement grant, so yes, we have in other circumstances, they don't like that, let me just say that.
Okay.
If they
Yeah.
give us that money, they.
As long as it's not on a recording somewhere.
Right. They hunt us down, to make sure we're spending all of the allocation. Which isn't pleasant for
Because it's unfair
Drew,
taking it from somebody
mostly.
else.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think when I think about it, I would tackle the high school in terms of the grant, the spray-on and the pipe fittings, which is around $700,000.
Do we have that? Do we have it? It is in our email?
Yep,
That was
yep.
part of it, okay. I'm sorry, I don't have it in front of me and this is small. Did you prioritize them? Is it labeled kind of that way?
It is,
Okay.
it's labeled by building.
Okay.
The reason that I wanted, it's not color
Oh,
copied
okay.
here.
Oh, I like the colors.
I'm sorry.
All right.
I mean, in my opinion, I think that
Okay.
if we could get 50% for the fireproofing and the pipe fittings, that would be helpful to the district. I'm not sure if we want to replace every tack board and floor tile right now.
I don't.
I know we don't want to.
No, I don't think we have to.
Well, what's the risk in not doing it now? I mean, will it cost more later? It'll eventually have to be done, or maybe it just won't ever need to be done?
Well, we're planning on having
like-
some sort of improvement at the high school, and the
Or
bulk
it'll
of.
have to be done
Right.
if we don't do it all.
Okay.
Right.
Correct. The benefit of doing it all is that we're paying for that design fee up front, and there's a ton of air quality monitoring that
Yeah.
happens with abatement. We would just have to know that if we only did a portion of it, we would incur those costs again for design and for air quality monitoring.
Is this the one that can be used over multiple years?
It can,
So
so,
it's
I
not just
mean,
like, I'm concerned about how much can get done in one summer.
correct.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
It
because
said
there's
like
only so much we can
51
do.
days to do all this, and that's the
And then
whole-
monitor.
that's if everything goes well.
Yeah, don't forget, we have ESY, we have
Uh-huh.
camp, we
Yeah.
have, sports starts up, and so there's a
Yeah.
lot, band camp, and there's all that stuff that the building gets
Yeah.
crushed for. Actually, someone hit me up yesterday at the open link thing, they talked about, talked to Craig about the camp they used to do, and they did at the high school, you may have said, I'm not sure I can do it this summer.
Right.
You know,
Not
That's
there,
the church
but-
camp, yeah.
yeah, whatever, yeah.
Bernie, do you have thoughts about this?
Excuse me?
Do you have thoughts about this?
No?
No? Kind of looked
Like
like,
about the abatement?
yeah, kind of looked like you were thinking about construction in the summer and all this stuff that needs to go on. Not particularly.
Do the priorities and then see where the chips fall after that.
So, just to put my input into it, because when we were redoing 4-5, there was quite a bit that we did while we were doing that. And I agree that there's things that would be viable faster than other things. And although I thought we had all of 4-5 done, it's like never ending. I mean, I don't see a problem, like unless there's, not this floor, but if there's some, I'd rather see the high school get done, and definitely the piping, the pipe fittings and the wrap, because that's the thing that could be the most dangerous, if you know what I mean.
Well, and if I can give, by way of example of why I feel fairly confident in that recommendation to the team, there are some things we can't do from an operational upgrade, so cameras, speakers, because they have to get in the system. So there are sections of the building that we have not lifted in terms of technology and audio sound,
Because it's there.
because it's
Yeah.
there, and they won't work on it, obviously. So, not necessarily the floors. We could, as a district, take the same approach where we're replacing them, you know. It's,
As we go.
and because of the age of the building, it's essentially, it would be all the floors, which we would likely do or potentially do in a larger renovation anyway. Maybe.
So my thought too is,
Someday.
if we scale back and let's just say we go after the high school,
Mm-hmm.
just the fireproofing and the pipe fitting, we go and tackle that. We lost the opportunity of this grant too. So if we ever have to go back and do this, for some reason,
That was my
we'll
next
be paying
question.
more later, I
How often do
believe.
these grants come around?
Yeah.
So this is the first time I've seen this, and it came out of PASBO, correct?
Out of the state budget, yeah.
I don't know what type of commitment the state is making to continuously refresh grant opportunities. There's a lot of grants out there, let me say that. This was the perfect storm of having our ERA and the roofing the roofing analysis at a really good time when these were available. So,
Yeah, you
know,
can't predict the future.
I can't, but if I find one, we certainly have enough information, and we will have a HERA report. We are obligated to get them anyway. And, you know, they did say to us, you haven't really addressed the high school much. I mean,
So
that
how-
was an
How
off-the-record
much
conversation.
How much
We're
do those reports
avoiding it.
cost? How much do those reports cost to get?
We have a contract with TRC. TRC, who does our OER reports.
Well, how much do they cost?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'll look at that for you, JP.
Probably $3,000 or $4,000, I would imagine, but we get them all the time anyway.
Every
that's
6
routine.
months, and then there's like a 3-year big one, and I asked, you know, what is the difference between the 6-month and the 3-year? And his answer was nothing, because you haven't really,
Done
Done
anything?
anything, yeah.
but that's not true, we have.
Yeah, we
We've done incremental things at the high school, the floors have been done, the science tables, those,
Yes.
they're in good shape. I wouldn't tackle that.
Doug did some of that before he left. So
Yeah.
we was able to finish that out this summer, yes. Mhm.
So, the only other, or is there, the cost after the abatement to reconstruct the ceilings, what,
New
where are we looking at
fireproofing.
for that?
Yeah, so it would, do you know, Craig?
No, but I will find out.
What, so we've done it, there was a section that did it, and it was some of the tile
I
replacement.
remember, yep.
Yeah, Doug walked
I
us through,
remember.
like, look.
Here, it's right here.
I'll find that out for you.
And if you see, the location is all around the cafeteria there too,
Okay,
and the athletic, and the gym.
okay.
So I don't know that answer. Part of it is to have TRC come back and do the full scope, that's that 19,000,
Yeah.
what are the design
Right.
specifications for that? This grant does not close until June 30.
Okay.
So I have, you know, if we
Time.
move forward, I will have a better, you know.
And how much time do we have to utilize the money?
There's no termination date, usually it's a year, but it's not. So we
Okay.
could do some this summer and some next summer.
Right, because if the
That's good.
due date is June 1st and they take 2 to 3
Correct.
weeks to decide, probably longer, you're already past your 51 days to
Correct.
complete.
I
Yeah, by the time you
suspect
get them
it'll
mobilized or
probably be a
whatever,
next
it's a-
summer
Yeah.
project.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't,
So if we cut out the floor tiles and chalk tack boards, we're saving 30-40% of costs?
Mhm.
So the other question would be,
I mean, we would have to replace all of these too.
Right.
Right, well, that's on the high school, and then,
Right.
you know, you're
That
pretty much cutting
eliminates,
that out of,
yeah.
you know, Hereford and 4-5 Center too.
Mm-hmm,
Right, we're taking out like 1.7 million
mm-hmm.
if we get rid of those.
So you said the total, the total of your kind of shortened recommendation was 700,000 and then we paid half, or that's our half?
Yeah, so it would be,
That's our half.
That would be what we, okay, so
Our half.
1.4.
so the design specifications are 19,000 through TRC. The spray-on fireproofing and floor tile, I'll have to extract, that's like $655,000. Pipe fittings are $25,000. The tack and chalkboards are almost $370,000 on that.
Okay, so if you take those off.
So I would take the 370 out.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like where's my mathematician?
Of the 1.6.
680?
Well, I have my little calculator up.
And then I do think that the asbestos reporting, the project monitoring, that fee would be adjusted if we condense it to one building. That monitoring is almost $560,000 alone. So if we scaled the project back to one building, I think that that would substantially change. So we would go back and
Could be a
say,
third of it or a little
we'd
more.
like to refine this to just address this and this, can you update the estimate?
Yep.
Because if it's not 3 buildings, it's not, I
I-
can't imagine it'll be $560,000.
No. Mm-mm.
Do we want to like sort of table this tonight and let you come back with, I don't know if you want this work, but just break it down a little bit? I think we're interested in just focusing on the high school and not doing the tech boards, so.
The only thing is, we're gonna run out of time.
Right.
Okay.
Well, I'm looking at it as, if we scale back, like on, here, I don't know if you have this one or not, but if you look at that, I sort of broke out the cost per building, and if we're talking about cutting out the tables and the tile, basically, we're only working on the high school at that
Okay,
point.
correct.
So that's easily 40% of the cost right there. So, and if we go back and they ask for that and they give us updated pricing, that would probably change what they have to stage at the buildings, what they build, the cost that they build in to stage equipment at the various locations. So, and if we really have no interest in doing that right now, because nothing's crumbling or causing problems right now.
I mean, the
It's just
heavy
like that.
lift
Yeah.
is honestly the ceilings.
Only worse.
Right.
All right, so,
Okay, I think we can get there then.
I think we can get
I
that.
think we can get there.
What is so what happens if we don't get the grant?
Well, and that's the question, right? So the question is, if we don't get it, what is the board comfortable with?
Then it's all 1.6
We don't have to
million
do,
for us.
right, and for which you don't have to do.
Right,
You know, we're asking for the 19 to have TRC do the design specifications just based on the recommendation of what we're pursuing.
yeah, because they
So
won't
just high
change.
school, right, what will change is that air quality because it's gonna just be one section essentially that, well, it's a large section of the high school. And then the reporting. So it would be whatever that total is. So we would have to go back to TRC and say,
Well, I would consider it sort of like what we've done with the roofing survey and everything. If we do this, we have that information available. If we don't get the grant, we can then make a decision as to whether or not we want to move forward, when we want to move forward. We're not committed to actually doing something right away, but we have that in our back pocket to utilize at a future date.
Right, it's not like it's gonna move around, it's gonna be in the same place forever,
I'm sorry.
until we get rid of it.
So my hope would be that we approve the proposal to do the design specifications based on the recommended areas from this committee, and then bring it back in May.
For the high school.
For the high school.
Yeah,
Right.
And bring it
And just
back
the-
in May to see what it is, to see if we really want to pursue
Yes.
it, because I still have time to submit it.
Okay.
Yep.
And even so, am I clear that this would very likely be a next summer
Yeah, I don't-
start, no matter whether we approve tonight or approve next week? Am I right on that? Okay, all right.
yeah, it's just the
Almost a
grant
year.
itself.
But we need to
that's
approve
got
for the
time.
grant.
We need to
So
approve,
there's no
okay.
date in December.
I don't think we'll have time. Based on, if we bring the task one proposal back in May, I submit the grant, it closes June 30th, which essentially is 6 weeks.
Yeah,
Right. And how
before kids come
quickly are they
back.
gonna get back to you anyway, you know?
Well,
Well,
like you said, 2
and
or
because
3
of the
weeks or
cost of the
whatever.
project,
Yeah.
it'll have to
Yeah.
be bid.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all.
Unless they
That all
come
takes-
back
that all
and say that
takes a
instead of
lot of
51
time.
days, they can do it in 14, I mean, you have a.
But we can mobilize now.
I feel like I don't trust that.
Yeah.
So as we're looking at other
It's too good to
repairs
be
that we
true.
wanna do, we need to keep in mind that next summer, our 51 days
Yeah.
is gonna be
Yes.
partially used for this.
Correct.
So we have to.
Yes.
Project
And that
planning.
gives a year to figure out where you move band camp and where you move things.
Correct.
That'll be safe for the kids to be at.
Yeah,
While we're
I mean,
doing
that would be helpful. So I have shared the projects with the principals to talk to them about the potential. They don't want to hear that, because kids access, especially the high school.
Yeah.
There's a lot of use of that facility, specifically in that area.
Mhm.
But you know what, we got the middle school right there, so something will be done.
Yeah,
We'll figure it out.
Walk a little bit further.
Is that
Yeah.
something Balfour would do, if he got the bid, could it go to him, the guy that did the.
yeah, I mean, they could bid on it.
Yeah, they could bid on it.
What's
Balfour.
what
Balfour.
Okay.
Yeah, Balfour,
They were in
Actually,
24/7
it was
for a long time.
Okay, I would recommend that we just move this forward with the high school as its primary focus.
yeah,
I'm
I
on board
agree.
with that.
yeah.
Okay.
And just to follow up real quick, we paid TRC for a 6-month AHERA periodic surveillance at the high school, 4-5, and Hereford, and it was $7,000. And it looks like we paid for a Marlboro, I think it was the same thing, for $3,800.
Okay.
And that was all
I didn't
this.
think it was really expensive, but that's not too bad.
Yeah.
All right,
It's at the high school over the summer than what I thought.
Yeah.
let's jump to roofing.
Yes,
Okay, this is a different story.
yes, it is.
This is a whole different ballgame.
Yes, yes.
Better grant, bigger problems in the grant. So,
This in here, right? Roofing? It's in this.
no,
It's
it's
separate.
That was a
separate.
separate one, yeah.
Yeah.
Here, I can,
I have a closure.
What you need?
they look like this.
Yeah.
That's it, I have it.
They look like this. I just came here to ask for money.
So
Yeah.
bad. So bad.
Okay, I got it.
Okay, so as we talked about, Sobek Roofing came out almost 2 years ago to do a comprehensive study. They did the moisture testing,
Right.
all of that. And so this hit our top 10 list because we have active penetration into the substrate, if I said that.
Good job.
Roofing expert over here.
Yeah.
You're hired.
So this grant closes May 31st. So there's a little bit quicker of timeline. I have most of it in the grant system, but I come to the board to say, to the committee to say, this is a great opportunity, but it really does boil down to what we're comfortable as a committee with me writing for.
Okay.
We would contribute 25%. The grant would cover 75% of the cost if we are successful.
What's the,
It was a
Max of the
caveat.
grant.
Yeah.
$5 million.
okay.
We'll take it all.
So,
Bring it on.
Drew and I talked about this. We would be attacking high school sections 13, 14, 17, 18, 19, and 20, and they did a nice job. Sobek did a really nice job. Except this is the Board Life Center, so I'm wrong one. You can see what those sections are.
$2.7 million worth.
Correct. However, if we are successful in the grant, our contribution would only be about $420,000
Yay.
Sold.
Out of
Yeah.
capital?
How much?
out of
At
capital.
capital?
Yeah.
420,000.
Drew did the math, so if it's wrong.
For the
No,
high school,
the-
That's just the high school, but
Yes.
we want to
Correct.
add 4
So 4.5, the overall estimate is 1.342, and our contribution, the district's contribution would be 335.5.
Okay,
So-
are you including all the Ds and Fs of 4-5?
So there are Ds and Fs included, yes. So you
And
can,
also then Hereford was one of the Ds.
yeah, we did not,
Okay.
I only did high school and 4-5.
Okay.
Because we definitely wanted to come out of the gate tackling all the Fs.
Yeah.
However, to move forward with this grant, not necessarily to submit it, but our next step is really to do two things. We have to write a letter on behalf of the district saying that we are willing to utilize capital funds up to 25% of the total cost of the project. Okay.
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 And then the second, we would ask to put a resolution on the board agenda on May 9th that just says, we're seeking this money and we will use this money for the purposes of roof repair at the high school and the 4-5 center.
So this is exactly what we asked you to do.
Yeah.
So.
Thank
this
you.
is-
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't-
And there's a $100 application fee
Oh.
that I need to see you send.
Doug Roche will pay.
Drew, find that money. Lunch
I
fund.
said to Drew, there's an application fee. So I can't submit until I have both the commitment letter and the resolution on the board with the board minutes.
Okay.
But after May 9th, I'll be able to submit it, and then we'll see what we get. The question is, do we move forward with Sobek, their proposal? It's expensive for him to do all of the design specs for this. He's done a lot of this work already. We pay Sobek, we have a contract. But to do all the bidding and all of that, it's quite a bit of money. So that would be probably our upfront, although we can submit for reimbursement on it.
Okay.
All of these, we can submit these funds that we're moving forward with or requesting to move forward, we can submit for reimbursement. They're both reimbursable grants.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
Okay, my question is for the high school. Are any of the sections that we proposed, if we do them, would any be affected if we do a project there?
so
next few
the
years.
answer is there are, yes, the roof sections, so we would be working in the building and on top of the building, fairly simultaneously, so
But
we
we don't
wouldn't
think
have
we'd be
to.
tearing the fascia off and destroying part of the roof or anything. would we?
For the abatement or for
No,
the
for the
roof
roof.
project?
For the roof.
If we did an upgrade to the high school.
Right.
Like if we did an upgrade to the high school and we tore off the fascia in front of the natatorium, would that be one of the areas that is,
Probably.
So, yeah.
yeah.
You're using really big words, Keith.
Yeah, that is the
I
challenge.
learned that by going to the Y and seeing that on the wall, big letters.
Exactly.
I was walking around that track 50 times and I finally memorized it.
Yeah, so
Now spell it.
I think that the impacted areas based on what we, saw in the feasibility study through KCBA,
Front part?
17 and 18 and maybe 19.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That front part,
Yeah.
I think was, yeah.
The,
Partnership enterprise.
That's-
17,
yeah,
18,
yeah.
19.
Yeah, I have.
I don't know what kind of impact the overall roof
Okay.
is.
I'm still good with it.
If they don't, if they're building,
Yeah.
it could be a separate roof, just
We
with a
talked
separate
about
connection.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, I believe that they'd probably be able to work around it and merge it in successfully.
Yeah.
That
I
would
would
also be
think.
part of the new
Contractors, I do all the time.
renovation guarantee. The other question was, why not number 6 on the 4-5 center, which was an F?
Maybe I just missed it.
Oh, is that a different
It
page?
is entirely possible, Keith, that I missed it.
Page 28 of that, it's the gravel surface asphalt, poor condition.
What section of it?
It's section 6.
Oh, we just redid it. That's the,
Okay.
that's the new section we
that's
just
I was
redid.
wondering about that,
Never
okay,
mind.
Yep.
perfect.
Never
gonna
mind.
say, that's
on my
not-
list.
Check it off.
I was confused
Check it
myself.
off. Done.
Okay.
Keith, did I hear you correctly? You think that a contractor could work around if we put in something new?
Definitely.
And Craig, I heard you say that.
Yes, I would expect that they should.
I'm not a contractor, but I believe that. And I think
Yeah,
this is
you
such a
can-
great deal. I would like this is.
Yeah, the whole 25% on us is
Yeah.
well worth it.
Yeah, I mean-
Yes.
I feel like you gotta take a shot when
Yeah.
there's grant funding out there. I've never seen that kind of opportunity,
Should
to be
we-
honest with
Should
you.
we then include Hereford?
Well, we just go for the whole 5 million?
And we just get, and we get the
Hereford's-
Fs and Ds done?
Hereford's 357,000, it's kind of a biggie.
That's a biggie.
I mean, I didn't bring Hereford's roofing, scope, I can.
More on it?
I can add
Section
whatever you want.
14.
I'm just saying, like, You sold this as a great opportunity.
Yeah, can you add JP's roof to this?
You're on.
I would
Just like
make the
consideration.
recommendation that we move forward with this as it is. If you decide that you could sneak Hereford in there, it would be viable to go ahead and do it. You know, we trust a lot of your judgment. You know, you're doing quite well with us with
Always,
setting this up for us.
yep.
So I will,
And since it's only writing the grant and not committing to,
It's 3 million total for 4, 5, and high school. Just saying.
yeah, that's, at
That's
25%, we're like
extra 10%
755 for what we have.
Yeah. What did you say?
Extra 10% for Hereford.
Yeah.
Right now we're at 3 million.
Right.
They're another 300,000.
Yeah.
Another 10%.
It's
Okay.
kind of,
yeah, I can pull up, Mark didn't do the scope of that, but I can ask him
It's somewhere, yeah.
too. Yes, yeah, I mean,
But this is time sensitive also, right?
this is May 31st.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So part of that resolution includes.
But we need to get that letter on the.
Correct, we need it on the May agenda, and it has to include what the ask, the 75% dollar percentages, and then the district contribution. So,
So do
I think
just
we need
do
to
the
decide if we want Hereford or not.
Well, let's commit to doing the 3 million now.
3.4, that's 3.4 together. And that's Hereford, so I would say, I would rather see, well, that's another conversation for another day.
well,
I'd like to see whoever bought 4, 5 from us to do their own roofing.
yeah, well, and the other piece of that is, you know, some of the
Yes, it's
sections in
out.
4-5 are in the unoccupied section presently.
Right.
That's right, that's right. So maybe it's cheaper to tear it down.
I mean, I certainly have enough to include it. The question is, do you want me to include it?
I do,
Yeah.
but I think there's different
Okay.
opinions. which
I'll
I'm
reach out to
willing listen
Mark just so he
You
can
know,
give me,
What do you guys think?
What do you guys think?
You mean add the 357 for Hereford?
Yeah.
I mean,
I
it kind
agree
of
with
doesn't
that.
make sense to leave it off.
If we're
Because
doing
it's
it.
D, just like the other, you
The
know,
other parts.
so
Right.
there's really no reason other than it's last on the list and it's a different building, so
okay,
Yeah,
I think I'd say put it in.
I'll do it.
okay.
I can't really justify why we would leave it off.
Yeah, right, for
Fair enough.
60,000 of our dollars, yeah. Or 65.
Okay,
Okay.
I will
So
do
you have your
it.
direction, Andrew? You're
Yep,
good?
and we're good with moving that resolution and the commitment letter to the board?
Yes.
board
I'm good.
Meeting, yep. Okay.
Okay, good.
If you want to stay, I guess might as well stay with it, we can do safety, I know we're gonna skip around a little bit from the agenda, but we might as well do the village. Safety and security village project, the Baldwin project.
Can I just ask Drew to do something? Drew, can you keep us honest on the 9.2 capital reserve amount? As to what we're committing to?
Yeah,
I was
we're-
just sitting there trying to think for
Thank you.
where are we at now?
you.
90.2 minus all these other ones.
Yeah,
so I'll-
exactly.
Yeah.
Thank
I'll
you.
get it.
Just working on
Okay,
All right,
am I
follows.
going? So there was a grant that came available for physical security. And it was in 2022 that this grant was written. And it was around, Trina, you had it, it was the rubric for recommendations that were put out by PCCD. You have to have the tier ones, bollards were on it. So a grant was written and we were able to secure funding for bollards. And I put in the nice pictures. It is to harden our security at each building, with the installation. And so ultimately.
That's a tier 1 piece, we couldn't get a tier 2
You
for some of
can't
those
do the
things. We
tier
have to do
twos
tier
until
1.
you
Finish
do
all the
tier
tier
ones.
ones.
Yep, I remember Doug saying that long ago.
Uh-huh.
So the first phase of this was the design phase. You supported Muhlenberg Green. It's around $28,000 for all of the design specifications. The total project cost is $218,271. The grant, what is left after the $30,000 that was put in for the design phase was $119,000, leaving $99,238 of ESSER 3 funds. So this is actually, after our following meeting, it is out for bid. We will see there's a pre-bid walkthrough, and then by Friday is the deadline, and then May 3rd bids are due. So this is slated to be done over the summer. So I talked a little bit, the principals have seen this, just because, he has 8/16 as the completion date, which I believe will happen. But we do have buildings, people coming in and out of buildings during the summer. So if you look, they're all on here if you have any questions, but I just wanted to give you an update to say we will be using those grant funds. 38319 is the grant, and
Great.
It'll be done in the summer.
it will be done before kids come back, and teachers.
It's not always the most sightly things.
Yeah.
A pole in the middle of a walkway that used to be there before, or.
Yeah, look what Marlboro looked like when we were doing the vestibule and the planter, and
Yeah.
that was messy.
We spent a lot of time discussing the type of bollard. There was the attractive nuisance conversation, skateboarders,
Yeah.
maintenance, all that stuff. So, it's
It's necessary.
underway.
Yep, excellent.
Very good.
Back to security.
Yes, sir.
What do you got?
Yes, we had a little meeting with Cardinals Point.
Yeah, thanks,
We met with the CEO, Mr. Blake, and one of the things that was discussed was communication. Cardinals Point efforts to recruit and retain their staff. Cardinals Point requests to reopen, or Cardinals Point is requesting the district to reopen the contract to discuss a supervisor for the district. Also, adding more guards at an added cost to us. That was just something that was thrown on the table during the conversation in the meeting, because we were having a problem with Cardinals Point with just making sure they're keeping their staff. Because, we like the people that they had here, and the people that left that were replaced, they're good too, but, we just wanted to make sure they have a steady revenue for us.
Consistency was
And the
nice,
consistency
yeah.
for us, more importantly for our students and our staff.
So when you say efforts to recruit and retain, they're doing things on their back end
Yes.
to increase wages or
They
provide additional
increase
benefits?
wages, and also they give them benefits on the first day of start. They're not making them wait 6 months.
Right.
Ooh, 6 months.
That's
That's a long time.
So what was their reasoning behind requesting adding more guards?
Just to cover themselves. God forbid someone calls out, someone's sick. So we were having rotation.
So it wasn't like they said, we don't have enough coverage at the high school, we think you need another 2 or 3 people. It's more
Like
just.
somebody will call out in the morning, and then me and Mr. Blake will talk, and then Cardinals Point will say they're bringing one of their supervisors over at the high school to cover the high school.
Yeah, but that should be their job regardless.
Right,
Right.
that's what they offer to.
We're not contracting for Bob and Bill and Sally and Sue.
Yeah.
We're contracting for 4 guards.
All
right.
They have to get them, no different than we have to get a substitute teacher.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
That's on us to get a substitute teacher.
And it's on them to make sure.
Right,
we
so I mean, I
got
don't know, I wasn't aware of the conversation in terms of why they wanted to open the contract to add more guards.
That was just something he threw out
I mean,
there.
if it's simply for a supervisor,
Throw that back.
then maybe we can understand what that is. I
Yeah, but
mean,
what does that give us,
Right,
though?
I thought we had a supervisor that was gonna be.
It's,
well, they had, one of the guys that was in the suits that were here was the person, maybe they need someone on
Right.
site, but we also have Rodney that helps
Yes.
right,
Yeah.
to manage some of them. I mean, I don't know if they were
Well, that's what I'm curious about, because on the third bullet point, it says supervisor within the district to assist the team, you know, that's kind of Rodney right there. And
Well, is that in his job description? Is he communicating with them? Is
Oh,
that
definitely,
kind
Mr.
of-
Blake is doing a
Yeah, I'm
fantastic
not
job.
sure about job,
Then
he definitely is
what?
communicating with them on a daily
Okay.
basis.
Daily basis.
He's-
So what do they need outside Mr. Blake? I guess
I just think it's a sales pitch, to be honest with you.
Yeah, this sounds like an effort for them to increase revenue.
Yes.
That they can increase their salary to their personnel a little bit
Yes.
more to offset their costs if they're now offering benefits
Right.
first day of service.
Okay.
It's more so the sales.
Yeah, they
I mean,
might.
the rates per hour are going up the next 2 years.
Yes,
We've
they
made
are.
a 3-year
Yeah.
contract.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So there's already got a,
Yeah,
whatever it is, yeah.
Yeah.
so.
So,
Yeah.
no.
I'm not interested in reopening the
So, no,
contract.
thank you. Bless your heart, no, thank you.
No, if it-
So Craig, unless you're seeing something that's part of that conversation that you felt the need to recommend, or we really should sit down and look at this, even though these here 3 no's are just,
I kind of give him an earful, Dr. Allen.
I got you. That's fine.
I gave him an earful,
That's
so,
fine.
you know. Okay, so we go skip C with the physical upgrades, because we saw that. We're running a new business. So we have a generator at the 4-5. The issue appears to be stemming from a mechanical problem related to a gas intake. Previously, the district was aware of it. Gen Serv was on site on 4/16.
So what was wrong with the generator? Like, what happened?
So we have a quote for it. So what it is a pressure regulator. So when we lose power at the 4 or 5, or any of our buildings, our generator kicks on for emergency power. Unfortunately, we have to manually turn on 4 or 5 due to the fact because the fuel is flushing so fast into it, it's clogging it. So we basically open up slowly and let it trickle in. Once it catches, then the generator kicks on. So the cost for this repair would be $4,703.44. And this is the quote. I wanted to have a little copy if you guys would like to check it out. Mhm.
Is that for BFD?
No, that's just the
No.
generator. The
The whole
generator.
thing?
Thank you.
So it was something that I actually spoke to Doug about too. Doug was aware of it. This was something that, one of the things that Doug was going to, talk about and tackle. But we're just, so that's the intake, the flue pipe, the solenoid valve. It's really mostly the solenoid. It's just not recognizing as it should.
So it's not opening and closing very
Yes.
easy.
If we make these changes, then it'll automatically.
Oh yeah,
kick on?
we're good. We're
We don't-
good.
We don't need somebody out there
Nope,
to
we're good.
to tinker.
Nope, we're good. Nope, we're good.
Are we doing testing on this at all?
Yes,
periodically?
yes, yep, yep.
And
And,
that's everything.
Kind of on the PM plan.
we have on the PM contract, yes, sir.
And what does this come out of? The, what fund?
I would believe that would be the general repair.
It would be
Or-
the buildings and grounds,
Okay.
maintenance budget, whatever.
Whatever we have in the budget right now, allocated.
Okay, and this is the only bid that you got?
Yes,
Just-
just the one. That's because Gen Service are our preferred contractor because they do our service
Okay,
and our PM work. Yes.
okay,
I would say go ahead and move forward with it.
yeah.
Fix it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay. Next one on the agenda is Valley Soccer. Valley Soccer would like to donate light installation project at the middle school soccer fields. RJ Electric to install 2 light poles between the 2 soccer fields and run power from the nearby shed. The total cost would be $20,000. And we'd like your thoughts on that.
Where did they get 20,000?
Yeah. Can we see that?
Can I say I'm personally nervous about it due to the fact that, I don't know, I guess from commercial environment, I've seen gifts and what they expect, what they want. It gets a little dicey on sometimes. That's just my personal opinion.
Well, that's some of the questions that I kind of had. You know, what do they expect in return? Are they not getting this waiving field use fees for the next 10 years or whatever?
That's what it said.
Well, yeah, so.
Have they
so
requested
One of the things they said, in response to my questions, is based on this annual cost, and that was in regard to how much it's gonna cost to operate the
Yeah.
lights per season. They said they want a 10-year agreement on the use of fields for practice and possible game use in the spring.
Well, that was my question there. They want to reserve the fields, but are they still paying a rental fee? Or is this in lieu of the rental fees for the next 10 years?
Right.
It seems that we're moving off the gift donation conversation into a
Right.
true contract or partnership or relationship or something like that, which it would not be on that gift donation piece, because it has, you know, there were additional questions, and you guys are mapping that out in terms of that.
And is there an actual advantage to the district to have those lights on the field?
I don't see it. I've been struggling with the request. I know this request, and Andrew, you may have it better, has been requested before. The answer's been no. You know me, I like to listen, let's understand, not just simply no. And I'm struggling as a steward of the district to find out what's the advantage to the district.
Right.
If this was, hey, we want to pay for 30% of a turf field, hey, okay, let's have it, because I know, no, I'm saying, I know it would be a benefit to our kids and to our community. I'm struggling to know where those fields, knowing those fields are, our kids do use them after school in the middle school for soccer, what the advantage is in the long run to have lights on them. I don't believe we would use them for any sort of event, and then having that other conversation. And don't forget, like, it feels like they want to use the field. We're the ones cutting them, we're the ones seeding them, we're the ones lining them, we're the ones that are doing
There's
that.
a lot more than just
And I worked with Craig a little bit, and Anna helped me to try to figure out what the fees would be that we would be, quote unquote, not getting for 10 years, let's say. So I don't have a pure number. I know Anna was working with the company, with the group, and one of them said they weren't aware that they were being charged. But let's just say, and then when they went into the 707AR, they're like, oh no, we want to use that season fee for $400. So I think we have some debate on, is that a season with them? I mean, a season I think would be with a team, when you're using it over and over and over. So anyway, let's just play that out, that although I disagree, that they would pay a season fee for the season. It's 2 fields, so $400 for a season, so $800 for the 2 fields for that spring season now. I know they use Marlboro for a period of time, that would be a different, maybe it's another season, but I don't know if they would be trying to shift that over there. Anyway, let's just take 2 seasons. 2 fields for 1 season, that's $800. So times 10 years, that's $8,000. I mean, just again, I think the number should be higher than that, different conversation, but just an arguing on the piece of that, because it's not just a team that's using it, right? It says like it's $25 per use, which is in the evening. I don't know, if maybe the weekend should be $50 if it's double that. Anyway, again, we can have that conversation, but roughly 8,000, if not more,
Right.
for the usage there. I'm just struggling with the fields in general, bringing up, think about additional liability, additional, you know, it's all the stuff that's a part of a rental that's not there, the use of
I think
All
Valley Soccer's been looking for fields. I know they're down at Marlboro and Finland. I'm not sure what the holdup is there. They want to put money into that. I don't know if it's the solicitor, something's holding that. I understand they were looking at 663 in Brinkman Road.
Okay.
So I guess this is option number 3.
Well, they have the lights that they rent and/or they diesel lights or something that they put out.
Yeah, over at
Do we know if they use this field, the fields we're talking about, in the fall? Yeah, I would think so that's another season, right? So now,
Yeah,
if you're talking 2 in the spring and 2 in the fall, now you're up to $1,600 or $16,000.
right.
And that's just in certainly basic,
And that's just for
So-
the,
it's a
now-
more conservative fee.
Yeah.
So I didn't include you on the emails.
that's okay.
The soccer season is
We just have to.
May,
I
mean,
to ask.
March to May.
March to
At
June.
at least it is for PA Dominion.
I didn't think so.
So I would think Valley probably follows the same suit.
Right.
So I'll just say, like, you know, I've been a coach for Valley, I still am a coach for Valley. Part of the reason they're looking at this is what you said, Marie, they're kind of looking for their own space to have.
Yeah.
And I think part of this too is, you know, when we're coaching there in the fall, they bring in the rental lights that are diesel generators, and we're sitting there
Yeah.
coaching, listening to, you know,
Noise.
the noise, sucking in the fumes. It's not the best. So I can understand why they're trying to do this. I was hoping somebody would be here from Valley so we could ask these questions that
Yeah,
we
I
have
would
and
like
what
to
they exactly
hear
want to do.
directly.
but-
I read through your emails, like, kind of briefly, and it just kind
Well,
of
they were
sounded
made
messy.
aware this was going to be discussed,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Well, youth football does the same out front with the portable lights too.
Yeah.
I want
So-
to be able to help, I like Valley Soccer, I think this is a great thing. If we have something we can offer to help them, but like you said, we're still like business, sort of.
Well,
We need to
yeah.
know how is this gonna benefit us, and we don't wanna be under either, you know, out $16,000.
In a
like-
previous district, there was a community that, youth football, whatever, took a piece of property and, and it was approved, and they had an agreement just similar to this. And, what's said before the agreement's signed is not what actually happens.
Yeah.
Once they gotta start growing grass, and once they don't want the school on it anymore, now they want this, and it was a very interesting, endeavor. Again, I'm looking at it with a clean lens, what's the advantage where that, if it was a field that we would use 20 nights a year to say, we don't know, we can really provide this opportunity, or,
Right.
I'm just struggling to see,
And which side is it, which side of
it's
the?
the softball side, and those two fields that are out in the field down there. So you pull off of Walt Road, or, it's on the other side of the.
Oh, okay,
And
so
maybe
it's not on
what-
Mr. Chrisman's side, because I would like to. He has, Brady gets blinded as it is.
Yeah.
We could put-
Oh,
Lights.
I thought you
We
were
could put
looking
four
to
fields in
make
his
somebody
front
mad.
yard.
Yeah,
Put 'em up.
Exactly,
Is
no,
it Mr. Crispin? Put him up.
no, Mr.
All right,
Chrisman
would they
already
be
has a lot
willing
of
to pay
crosses
legal
there.
fees to get it drawn up, like,
Otherwise,
all?
property and
So I think
We
it-
use it for fields.
at this point, if you want to continue the conversation one way or whatever, we need somebody here from Valley to represent what
I
they're
agree.
looking for exactly and how they're
I
moving forward.
I don't
So-
see it as a benefit for us at this point, no. It just extends the amount of time that they can use it during the evenings, which lets them run a longer practice if they want to.
Well, we run as
So,
long
yeah.
as we need to anyway, we just
Yeah,
keep the generators humming.
I'm willing to hear them, I'd like to hear them come, but
Are they gonna
They wanna give them a
maintain it?
fair
They're gonna
shake.
Cut the grass.
I'm assuming no.
That's the unknown, right?
Well, the question was, are they gonna maintain it? I mean, no, we have soccer games on that.
yeah.
And no one wants to hear this about the fields actually resting.
Bobby was very concerned about that.
Yeah, I mean,
Bobby's very concerned
that's a
about
part of
that.
that.
He said our fields get beat up a lot, and it puts a lot of pressure on the maintenance team to get out there and get everything ready for our student athletes.
Well, we've heard about the baseball and softball for years, so yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, let's push this to old business and maybe they can come and talk to us some night.
Yep. And then I can tell you for the pavilion project, I spoke to Tori Welcome, who's the president of the Marlboro PTFS. They're not ready to come just yet, so probably push that to the next meeting, is what I said.
Okay.
Okay.
Got all the business as well.
We will know.
Okay.
Let's talk sinkholes.
So that's gonna
Yeah,
be the
let's
same
talk
goes,
sinkholes.
yeah. So the high school was done, today. So we're all good at the high school. Marlboro, Mr. Hildebrandt's looking to be done by the end of the week.
Great.
He said he's hoping to get out there Wednesday, but
He's
his
such a
schedule.
nice man.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
great, he's a
he's
great
smart.
gentleman, he's a very great gentleman. Him and his son.
No surprises, everything
No,
okay?
they're
He's
fantastic.
good at what he does.
Yeah, they're very good.
Really
Oh, and another thing is, our thermal heating, that wasn't the problem. Everything's intact.
Oh,
Great.
So
good.
no leaking in the pipes or the water, anything like that.
Oh,
But when
good.
we had to hold up, we was able to see everything. That was great. That made me happy.
Oh, boy, I'd say,
That's a relief.
I'd say.
Marlboro, the 405 fencing project, they're working with clearances. HR is working with Homestead Fencing very closely on this. They have had some people that we just will not have on campus. Ms. G made it very clear that they're just not acceptable here. So we're still working
Way
with
to keep a
Homestead.
good eye on
Yeah,
it.
We're still working with
We've
them.
also talked about revamping our process of getting clearances up front as a
Yes,
part of the initial process.
that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, again, lesson learned, but we're working through it.
That's something for me to learn, yes.
Well,
Are
that's
we-
attractive, and we never did that
Is this
before.
pushing us back?
Oh, yeah.
Schedule-wise now?
Yes, there's no two ways about it, JP.
When were we supposed to start it?
We're supposed to be done.
Oh, we're supposed to be done
Yeah.
with this.
Well,
So
it'll be
they got a
done.
whole earful from me. So they, to the point to where I told them, I went to Drew's office after I spoke to him and said, Drew, can I get my money back? Can I get my deposit? Because if they can't fulfill their contract, then they're wasting my time, they're wasting the district's time.
So
Yeah.
did they do other fencing work for us?
I don't believe so. This is the first time I've lost that fencing.
Yeah.
It's Triborough that did it.
Triborough's the one
Right,
that
yeah, that's the one I'm thinking.
Homestead, skip back.
Yes. Yes.
Hmm.
So, and we had a little bit of dialogue this morning saying that, the next proposal is, you have to hire your own contractors. It's got to come out the money. You have to give me something. We have to figure this out. So
Right.
I'm working
You
on
can't
this.
wait for
So
it.
what was the answer, Drew, to getting the money back?
Well, so that would have to go through our attorney.
Okay.
and deal with it that way. So, I mean, that's,
So what's our drop dead, like, you guys aren't following through at this point, they can't get people to come in, get the clearances, when do we cut it off and say, all right, we have to go this other route?
I mean, that's
There
kind
yet,
of-
are we
20
close?
years from now?
Yeah.
That's certainly a conversation we need to have, but I think, Craig and I were talking, do they know that we're almost at that point? And then,
Right.
in the 11th hour, maybe they'll come through. We just need to pick a time.
I
From
mean,
HR, it's the same way, they feel like it's not, they're trying.
Yeah, they are trying.
They're trying, it's not like it's not an adversarial thing, they're
Okay.
trying.
And they haven't just dropped contact, like,
Oh, no, there's no.
during contact,
Oh,
okay.
yeah. I'm sure I'll speak to them at least once a week.
So,
Standard is high, as
yeah,
it should be, right? I mean,
yeah.
we don't think it's high, but it's high,
Uh-huh.
so.
So the funding source only allows us till June 30th.
Oh, we have to start?
September.
Oh,
Sorry,
okay.
sorry.
Oh,
I got all my
Scary.
great dates mixed up.
Well,
That rarely happens, true. But, so, the drop dead is, it has to be installed by September 30th. Obviously, that's really a lot longer, but
Yeah.
to utilize the funding source that we have.
Status
Keep
check,
us posted on that.
an additional one here that I'll just add is, we may be in May, we may be seeing one of our neighbors come to the board table with some comments they're not happy about the rentals that have taken place recently at the high school over the weekend. Our neighbor lives close to the back road there, with things being tossed on their property, things, and they're not happy about what we did previously with trying to have an agreement to take care of that road.
Stone.
Yeah, with the stone and all that, so that just reared its head this weekend. So they've said they'll be here on May 9th to share some information with the board and update. They claim you were there Sunday. And they-
Mr. Fano's being.
I was not saying names on purpose. I know.
Tony is actually a nice guy. I've talked to him.
Yeah, I'm
and I had-
not, no one's saying that, I'm just letting the board know that there's concerns about people showing up hours early, climbing the fence, playing in the area, throwing stuff on the property.
Who was the rental
Yeah.
to?
It's a soccer,
Ex, P.A. Dominion, that's who, yeah, because the only
As
other
I'm not trying to
person
say
that
it, we just keep it clean.
Why we're working here.
I figured it would come up, that's why I just shut my mouth.
The good news is you didn't say.
Yes,
The
exactly.
only person that rents is Boyertown on Monday nights for an hour and a half. Everything
Oh,
else
so
is.
it's not even our
Everything's a
people in
P.
our district?
Cares about Boyd.
No, it's a soccer player.
At any rate, we may have some questions or conversations, and
Okay.
there was some requests for some of the documents that were a part of the initial conversation over the offer to partner on that street, so
Yeah.
we'll see how it pours out.
That was never
Okay.
fulfilled.
Never,
Never.
it went empty. One of the families signed it, no one else signed it, and I think it was tied to because the partnership was tied to their deed if they sold, and
Right.
the relationship would still be there. And then we reduced it down to a certain 6 or 10 years, we even reduced it again
Yeah.
to try to get that, so
Yeah.
I'm assuming we're gonna get a bill or something for a portion of that, and then we'll have to debate from there.
Thanks for the heads up, Don.
Yeah, thanks.
I tried to be very vague about it, that didn't seem to work too well, but that's okay.
You did a good job.
Yeah. Very good job.
Yes. My counterpart over
It's
here.
called
helped me.
It's called fill in the blanks.
Yes, yes.
All right, any public comments?
He made enough.
I wasn't going to say anything.
Oh, good.
Craig, that spot we talked about, you said when it got warmer, what did you decide, a none parking, or stripe it off, or another handicap? Between the last handicap and the entrance to the walk?
You mean where we just had the sinkhole?
No.
He's talking about where people park,
When
they shouldn't be
you,
parking.
when you start to walk down the walk,
Yeah.
Yeah.
the
I
area
know
to
what
the
you mean.
right, yeah.
What would you guys like? Would you like to be striped off, or would you like to be handicapped? He's talking about the park when you're first walking into our, what I call our entertainment area, our sports complex. People likes to park in them striped lines.
Yeah, that's my parking spot.
Well,
We can put Miss Melody on it.
The lines are worn, to them it's
Yeah.
another spot.
Yeah.
And I don't think a sign is the answer. I think a handicap would be,
It's
I
like-
Like strips.
think a handicap would be the most, because I put two cones that across the walkway, I put them in that spot when I do
Okay.
it around.
Yeah, I remember you was talking about that on the field where you showed.
So
me.
if you saw 2 cones out there, that's
right.
what I did every
Okay.
weekend.
Bernie's solution.
We'll work something with that out, Bernie, that's not a problem.
Yeah.
I've seen them parked in the back of the building too.
Yeah.
Where you, right next to the no parking
Is
sign.
this
Now
during
that
the
I
school
haven't
day or
seen.
is this for
Yeah,
sports
He's talking about for the
events?
sports events.
Yeah, over the weekend.
Over, now, you know, weekend is a different animal. Me and Bobby had a conversation about what happened over this weekend.
Yeah.
And, yeah, that's a different animal.
Anything else? Good.
No, sir.
Any committee member comments? All good? Then I will entertain a motion.
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank
Any
you.
opposed?
I'm sure that she's gonna be here.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, everyone.
We'll have to go
Yeah.
video and maybe-
That's what he
Yeah, what
said.
happened over the weekend?
So it was more than people than expected at this event. And usually when we have a certain amount, you have a security guard and also.
My daughter told me.
So Bobby's
that,
going
and
back and
now
talking to
this
them.
is,
Because they had a lot of people there
It was
Sunday
advertising.
and Saturday. So Bobby's going back to talk to them
They-
because they always said,
like,
oh no, we